The Cursed Baobab Tree. Once upon a time, in a remote African village named Nolula, there stood a colossal, ancient baobab tree. This tree, towering and magnificent, was said to house the restless spirits of long-dead voodoo priests. The villagers believed it was cursed, and anyone who dared to touch it would face a terrible fate. The eerie story of the baobab tree had been passed down through generations, instilling both profound fear and reverent awe in the hearts of the villagers. It was the early 1900s, a period when the world outside was rapidly changing, yet Nolula remained a place where tradition and superstition held strong sway. Emma, a young and ambitious journalist from the bustling city of New York, arrived in Nolula, determined to debunk the sinister myth of the cursed baobab tree. She had heard the spine-chilling story through a colleague who had visited Africa and was eager to expose it as mere superstition. With her trusty notebook, camera, and fierce determination, Emma stood at the edge of the picturesque village, greeted by Awa, the bright-eyed young girl with a radiant, welcoming smile. Awa, tasked with guiding Emma around the enchanting village, wore a dress made of vibrant Kent cloth, adorned with colorful beads and delicate shells that clinked softly as she moved. She led Emma through the village, where traditional round huts with thatched roofs sat amidst lush, green scenery. The air was filled with the soothing sounds of nature, chirping birds, rustling leaves, and the distant hum of village life. Awa introduced Emma to Mamadou, the wise village healer. Mamadou was an elderly man with a presence that commanded profound respect. His eyes, wise and penetrating, were framed by deep, expressive wrinkles that told of a life rich in extraordinary experience. Dressed in flowing robes decorated with beads, talismans, and intricate patterns, Mamadou welcomed Emma but sternly cautioned her about the cursed baobab tree. Many have suffered for their reckless curiosity, Mamadou said, his voice a mix of sorrow and sternness. The spirits within the tree are not to be disturbed. Emma, however, was undeterred. Dismissing Mamadou's grave warnings as mere superstition, she ventured to the massive baobab tree. The tree's gargantuan trunk and twisted branches loomed ominously over her, casting long, eerie shadows in the late afternoon light. Emma reached out and touched the rough, ancient bark. Instantly, a spine-tingling chill ran down her spine, and she heard faint, ghostly whispers, like distant voices carried on the wind. Shaking off the eerie sensation as her imagination, she returned to her temporary hut. That night, Emma was awakened by disturbingly vivid visions. She saw shadowy, spectral figures performing dark, ominous rituals around the baobab tree. These figures, dressed in ceremonial masks and robes, chanted in an ancient, haunting language. The whispers grew louder, becoming almost intelligible, filling her with an overwhelming sense of dread. Emma realized that the villagers' fears were not unfounded. Determined to uncover the mysterious truth, she sought Mamadou's help the next morning. Mamadou revealed the dark, twisted history of the baobab tree. Centuries ago, powerful voodoo priests had performed rituals at the tree, seeking immortality by binding their spirits to it. The rituals went horribly wrong, trapping their tormented spirits and cursing the land. Emma and Mamadou decided they must perform a counter-ritual to free the anguished spirits. They gathered specific, rare herbs, drew intricate, ancient symbols, and prepared ancient, powerful chants passed down through generations. With Awa's assistance, they approached the baobab tree under the cover of the starry night. The air was thick with anticipation and the scent of incense. Mamadou, dressed in traditional ritual attire, began to draw elaborate symbols around the tree, while Emma, also adorned for the ritual, recited the ancient chants. The ground trembled as they chanted, and the whispers turned into anguished, tormented cries. Ghostly apparitions of the voodoo priests emerged, their faces twisted in torment. Emma and Mamadou held their ground, their voices steady despite the fear gnawing at their hearts. With a final, desperate chant, the ritual was completed. The spirits were released in a burst of ethereal, blinding light, and the baobab tree stood silent and peaceful once more. The villagers, hearing the commotion, gathered around the tree, their faces reflecting a mix of awe and immense relief. They were profoundly grateful, believing they were finally free from the haunting curse. Emma felt a deep sense of accomplishment and newfound respect for the mysteries she had uncovered. As they celebrated joyfully, Emma felt a sudden, unsettling unease. She glanced back at the baobab tree and saw a shadowy figure lurking at its base. Rushing back, she realized it was Awa, holding a small, intricately carved wooden doll. "Awa, what are you doing?" Emma asked, her voice trembling with fear and confusion. Awa turned, her eyes filled with an eerie calm. "The spirits are free, but they need a new home," she whispered softly. "The curse must live on." Before Emma could react, Awa placed the doll at the base of the tree, and the ground began to shake violently. The spirits, now bound to the doll, erupted from the tree and swirled around Awa. In an instant, she vanished, leaving only the doll behind. Emma and Mamadou stood in stunned silence, realizing the terrible, horrifying truth. The curse had not been lifted, it had merely changed form. The village's peace was but an illusion, and the spirits still roamed, now with Awa as their vessel. Emma's story of the cursed baobab tree became legendary, a tale of bravery, ancient traditions, and the enduring power of dark forces. Her bond with Mamadou deepened, and together they vowed to protect the village, knowing that the battle against the curse was far from over. As they looked to the uncertain future, they understood that some mysteries were meant to be respected, if not fully understood. If you like these stories, please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe.